Which single player video games would you consider a masterpiece? Portal. The storytelling and clever humor makes for something special. I'll replay Portal 2 single player anytime. Doom, the classic one. Not only was Doom a masterpiece, it was also a watershed moment in video gaming. I'd go so far as to say there are two eras of video games, before Doom and after. It sounds funny to say it now, but Doom was an absolute experience back then. The difference from its contemporaries at that time is about the difference we are currently experiencing between second and third gaming now. Great fun and an eye-opening of the possibilities. Chrono Trigger. Legendary game. I've played this once every year for the last 3 years. It's different every single time. If they ever decide to reboot this series, I hope it lives up to the name. There was a guy somewhere online that tried to make it with PS1 style graphics, like the third Final Fantasy games, but they got a cease and desist. They only had a few images of a bridge and one enemy. Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door is one of my favorite games of all time. I'd consider it a masterpiece for sure. One of the closest a game has come to perfect in my opinion. It was perfect in my eyes. 3. Half-Life 2. Ori and the Blind Forest. The game was just straight art. The music, the visuals, even the story just felt like you were playing a fairy tale. I think Hollow Knight is unbeatable in terms of sheer gameplay and content, but Ori and the Blind Forest stands right alongside it in aesthetic and story. Ori is a masterpiece of platforming. Nothing else really comes close to the controls. I don't think Okami has been mentioned yet, so I'll mention it. Okami is truly a blessing. Bloodborne. Super Mario Bros. 3. Red Dead Redemption. AHH. Chaos. Or some say Cosm. Do you hear our prayers? As you once did for the vacuous ROM. Grant us eyes. Grant us eyes. Plant eyes on our brains. To cleanse our beastly idiocy. God, I never want to hear this again. Paper Mario. Thousand Year Door is so good. Honestly, Nintendo would make some hella bank if they remade a lot of top tier GameCube games like Double Dash, Sunshine, Paper Mario, Sonic Adventure 2, etc. I really strongly believe that Thousand Year Door belongs in the conversation for the greatest turn-based RPG ever made. Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater. Most of the MGS games, I'd say. Currently playing through them again and just finished MGS2 the other day. Almost forgot how mad it gets at the end. I agree with you, but I think MGS3 is the best when taken out of the context of the series. MGS1 heavily references MG1 and 2, which haven't aged well at all, and the summary included in MGS1 only sort of help. MGS2 is heavily referential to MGS1, but it has undoubtedly the most abstract story that is scarily predictive of our modern world. MGS4 is a lot of fun, but its story gets ridiculous even by MGS standards, and it's very reliant on MGS 1, 2, and 3 to understand what's happening. We don't talk about Portable Ops. Peace Walker is good, but it has its fair share of problems. MGSV is the best first half of a game I've ever played, but it's unfortunately only half a game. MGS3 is the pinnacle MMO. The controls are a bit wonky in the early MGS sort of way, but the world is amazingly intricate and well fleshed out for a PS2 game, and the story is amazing and self-contained. Doesn't reference other games except for Easter eggs, though that's mostly because it's the first chronologically. TL, Doctor, they're all good, but if you're only playing one, it should be MGS3. What Easter eggs? One funny one I found: you shoot the later villain and the codec tells you how you disrupted the time-space continuum. In Granon's office, there are statues of Metal Gear X and Ray, Colonel Raykov's face, how Snake looks during the opening sequence depending on which game you say is your favorite, the 3 snakes you can find during the fight with the boss, meeting Johnny's grandfather. I know there are more, but those are the ones I can name off the top of my head. There's also a mask that looks like MGS2's protagonist, Raiden. Stardew Valley. Absolutely amazing. It was made by one guy, and in only 4 years. That just seems like an insane amount of work. Writing all the music, all the dialogue, designing all the graphics. I would be constantly second guessing myself and never get it done. If you read Blood, sweat and pixels. That is basically exactly what happened. Dude redid the art over and over again because he was never happy with his own quality. Super Metroid, Metroid Prime 2, Bastion and Transistor. TFW, you cry over a sword. Hollow Knight. I would kill to have my memories wiped so I can experience City of Tears for the first time again. There is a trailer for the second game. It's based around Hornet. It's going to be as good, if not better, than the original Hollow Knight. I cannot wait. Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2. Fallout, New Vegas. KOTOR is unequivocally a masterpiece. KOTOR 2, to me, is almost a masterpiece though. KOTOR 2 is better in all the right ways than KOTOR, until you hit that part. Then it's such a letdown. On the other hand, at least it didn't get fucked as hard as GFU 2. To me, even playing with the restored content mod, a lot of it just felt like it had a much grander and interesting vision that truly built on KOTOR 1, but unpolished and at odds with itself in execution, which isn't unheard of from Obsidian. The story and themes were phenomenal, but actually clashed with a lot of the decision making and gamma play mechanics, still being rewarded for doing purely black or purely white things. The combat in general added some new stuff, but it wasn't as balanced as KOTOR's was. The experiences on the planets in general were major steps down with the exception of Nar Shaddaa, which was phenomenal. Very little actual choice making, or changing the outcomes of planets you visit. Often hyperlinear, without as many interesting side quests, and the final planet and ending were absolute garbage. The character cast outside of Kriya was not nearly as memorable. After playing for the first time with the restored content mod, I went to the wiki that detailed everything it added, and I was shocked by how much I took for granted. In the game that plane wasn't there before. So before it was even restored, it was also super bare bones in a lot of ways. So overall, I think if their vision had been fully realized, it would have been better than KOTOR 1. Unfortunately it wasn't to me, so I consider it almost a masterpiece. Apostrophe. Maybe I was just super young when I played it. It was the first video game with a story that I ever played/completed, but I remember all of the characters super well. Kriya and the betrayal I felt there. Atton and the tragedy of his story. Brianna was basically my first crush. Cyan was super spooky, as was Nihilus. And I thought Mandalorians were just the coolest ship ever. Fucking loved roaming around that planet. Funny enough, the Mandalorians part people hate about the game. One of the most universally criticized aspects next to the ending. I thought the characters were fine. Don't get me wrong. But they pale in comparison to KOTOR 1's cast. I mean, respect to you if you prefer KOTOR 2. These are just my thoughts on the matter. Super Mario 64. Don't get me wrong, Mario 64 is perfection and holds up so well even today. But Super Mario Sunshine will always have that special place in my heart. Don't get me wrong, Super Mario Sunshine is perfection and holds up so well even today. But Super Mario Galaxy will always have that special place in my heart. Don't get me wrong, I've never played Mario Sunshine or Mario Galaxy. But Super Mario Bros. 3 was the best. Just choose single player. Don't get me wrong. But Super Mario Bros. 2 baby. Game of the year. Every year. Dead Space. I'm not really a fan of horror games, but picking this one up on a whim was one of my best gaming purchases. DS1 and 2 were on point. The third. I wish they kept the series going though. They killed it on purpose. To stop EA from destroying a near perfect survival horror trilogy. Zelda, A Link to the Past. That little 16-bit system was not only entertaining for you, but for your cats. If you had the TV on the floor and went to the village, you could spend hours running around the village and your cat would chase Link. Edit 1. Okay. Been pointed out to me that it was a 16-bit system. Fixed. Edit 2. Wow. Gold. Really? Exclamation mark. Thank you whoever gave it to me. Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. I keep realizing a lot of these SNES games aged so well. The Shadow of Colossus. This is an example of something transcendent. More than just a game as art. A beautiful experience. It's pretty neat, I guess. Not to mention the moral aspect of the game. You're literally a murder hobo killing innocents for a very transparent reason. And you're just supposed to live with it. Murder hobo. The Elder Scrolls III, Morrowind, was one of those games where I would just walk around floored. I was so immersed. Survive an ash storm, walking around practically blind. When the air clears up, and before you is a floating transparent octopus gone blimp creature as big as the Hindenburg, which allows you to walk up and inspect it as it lazily floats off because it's non-hostile. Continue making your way east, still thinking about the blimp thing, when you come across Vivek City, poised over a placid lake of the most beautifully rendered water of its time. Mystified, walk into the city and find it bustling with raspy voiced guardsmen, traders of all wares, and people just living and getting by. Everything about the buildings are unique to Vivek, down to the architecture and coloring from floor to ceiling. Game had its flaws, but that first playthrough was fucking amazing. I couldn't believe I got it bundled free when I bought a then new Voodoo 3, intended mainly for Quake 3 and Tribes 2. Wake up. We are here. Why are you shaking? Are you okay? Wake up. Stand up. There you go. You were dreaming. What's your name? Well, not even last night's storm could wake you. I heard them say we've reached Morrowind. I'm sure they'll let us go. Quiet. Here comes the guard. Apostrophe. Ah yes. We've been expecting you. That guy's voice is indelibly marked on my brain. I started so many new characters in that game. For it being so much more clunky in gameplay than its successors, it really has 10x the depth and story than any Elder Scrolls game has had since. Alduin, destroy the world. Mehrunes Dagon, destroy the world. Dagothr, drive the Imperial dogs from Morrowind, so it becomes a haven for the Dunmer. Finish Akeldakon and make it the new god for the Dunmer. Recapture territories from Skyrim and Agronia, and extend worship to Akeldakon to all races, to free them of the oppressive gods and Daedra. Bioshock. I'm starting this journey on the weekend. A lot of recommendations for people telling me to play this. Yep. Play at night, and listen to all the audios. Don't tell him what to do. A man chooses. A slave obeys. Would you kindly upvote my comment? Take my upvote, you sociopath. Portal 2. It's crazy how at the end you just know what you got to do when they show the moon. Mass Effect. Edit. Wow. Gold just for naming a video game. Thank you. Kinda non. Rex. Shepard. Rex. Shepard. Rex. Tetris. Tetris truly is a masterpiece. The only puzzle game I've found that compares is Hexic. I want to add one that I personally think cemented Nintendo as the best handheld system. Pokemon Gold/Silver. I have such amazing memories of that game. Discovering the legendaries for the first time. Meeting the dogs. Fighting the Elite Four. It was amazing. If someone were to ask me which Pokemon game they should play to get into the series, I would tell them Gold/Silver. Masterpiece status in my eyes. Also, 2 Pokemon games in it. It was such an experience. I was shocked by that. Same. That first playthrough. Beating the E4. Only to realize that wasn't the end game was such a mindfuck. Final Fantasy Tactics. Anything with Ivalice please. Banjo-Kazooie. Gaha. Bree. Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. RimWorld. Let's make hats out of the other answers. Sweet. I needed some more. Minecraft. Dark Souls. I started playing Dark Souls when it came out in 2011, and I just beat it last week. Such a deeply dark and moving game. It's beautiful and haunting, and I'll never forget the crater my controller left in the wall. Dark Souls. 10/10ths best game ever. Honestly, my friend had me play it one night knowing I had no idea what the game was, and I've loved it ever since. Probably am on NG+++. It just sucks you in. Persona 5. Never saw this one coming. Ocarina. I think all Zelda games have a place in this conversation. Yeah. Faces of Evil is my favorite. Gee. It sure is boring around here. I'm so hungry I could eat an Octorok. Maboy. Chrono Trigger. FF7. Half-Life 2. Nier Automata. Super Mario 64. Legend of Zelda. A Link to the Past. Automa Matata, what a wonderful phrase. The Last of Us. The multiplayer was surprisingly really good too. Best multiplayer MMO. It was just so different from other shooter multiplayer / death matches I played. The crafting was cool, and being able to level up during a match added the feeling of progression from a short match. And it really rewarded communication. Anytime I was able to talk to at least 3 of my team members, we did so much better than if we were all silent. Deus Ex / Plan Escape Torment. Same reason, atmosphere. Dragon Age Origins. That game had me hooked from the start. It had such a sense of dark / dread atmosphere during dialogue. My favorite memory of that game is everything that happened at Redcliffe. Going back in Inquisition was just not the same. Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 and more recently Parkitect. Roller Coaster Tycoon was so much fun back in the day. I would definitely consider it a masterpiece. Thank you for the post, D. Mario Odyssey is great for playing alone. I didn't think I'd ever like a Mario game more than Super Mario 64. But Odyssey shattered all of my expectations. I honestly bought a Switch just for that game, and I haven't been disappointed. Celeste. This and Hollow Knight are such amazing games. Any Ratchet & Clank. Really wish they'd do a major collection of the PS2 and PS3 games. Mother 3 is a masterpiece. I would highly suggest that you play the fan translation sometime. I wish more people had the chance to play this game. Also, it's such a masterpiece because it was technically the second version of the game. The 3D version never saw the light of day and effectively became a rough draft. They had plenty of time to make an amazing game. Metal Gear Solid. Edit. I absolutely agree with all of you. What I liked most, the non-confrontational nature of the game. It changed the way I approached a game. I would argue that it is more realistic to try to sneak around enemies rather than run into a room guns ablaze. The level of detail is also amazing. Plus, the universe that this game takes place in is so massive, unpredictable, exceptional and very Japanese. Nothing could hold a candle to this game when it came out. You cannot overstate the next level that this game brought. This game was when the entire medium took an enormous leap forward. The first time I fought Psycho Mantis was mind-blowing. I had never experienced anything like that in a game before. Resident Evil 4. Wait. Follow me. Wait. Follow me. Wait. Follow me. Heelp. Leon. Heelp. Ap. Weelcombe. Wadobuayan. Aliester. Metallo. Moriras Vivia. Detrus 10. Imbecile. Cagello. r/Factorio. Factorio isn't a game. It's a genuine threat to my health and well-being. Kingdom. Took Crowns. Dishonored 1 and 2. Portal 1 and 2. At least try the Dishonored series. I promise you, you'll get sucked into that universe immediately. It's gold. Oh, I plan to. Dishonored 1 was amazing. I didn't have a good PC to play the second one until now. I'm so ready. Dishonored 1 is one of my favorite games. Please play the Knife of Dunwall. I think it's one of the best DLCs ever made. Fallout New Vegas. Or the Uncharted series. The story is just so good. And also Tomb Raider. I have Uncharted 4, but am hesitant to start it before playing through 1 to 3. I've heard amazing things about the whole series though. They released Uncharted 1, 2, 3 on one disc for PS4 and a remaster. It's called Uncharted Nathan Drake Collection. Also, I would be willing to bet you can get it real cheap, since it was a recipe only remaster. It's 100% worth playing 1, 2, 3 before 4 MO, and you'll have the added benefit of the gamma play / graphics getting better each game. Once you play U4, going back to U1 may seem like a downgrade, although the story is consistently good throughout the series. Horizon Zero Dawn. Duckhead, though. Never felt such rage before him. Still need to get the DLC. Please do. It's amazing how easy it is to get back into the combat of that game. Wish I had time for a replay. Mountain Blade Warband. It is a must play for everyone who is interested in medieval age-like games. Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I can't believe I had to scroll this far to find this. Final Fantasy VI. Skyrim. despite its bugs. Red Dead Redemption 2 and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I know they're obvious picks, but they're such good games. RDR2 was about as perfect of a video game experience as I've ever had. Some aspects of the gameplay were clunky, but the dialogue and character development, not just of the author, but nearly every NPC, was on par with the best TV shows or movies out there. I know it will not happen, but I really want single player DLC, mostly because I cannot stand/tolerate most online PvP games, except for Gavin. BTW, have you seen him? Good point. They gave the bookseller outside of the St. Denis saloon closure, but not poor Gavin's friend. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video.